Hello, hello. I'm not sure if you already hear me, see me. Hopefully we will be able to start the event any minute. All right, so it shows that we have somebody in the audience already. Can you introduce yourself if you hear me? Let's see who is here. All right, so it seems like we have 3 people already in the audience, which is good. It probably means the system works. Hi, Mitchell. So we will officially start in a minute. Meanwhile, let's test if the system works. So Mitchell, if you can hear me, can you click on the button that shows raise hand? And I will try to add you here to the webinar room so we can talk. And so the system would allow me to have only a few people talking at the same time, but I should be able to add anyone at any moment. So if you hear this message, yes, okay, I see you now. And if we add you, it will ask you, why did it not add you? So it will ask you to give access to your microphone and video, and it will ask you to test your sound 3 times. And I have no idea why it does it 3 times, but you'll have to do it 1, 2, 3, and then eventually it should be able to add you to the chat room. So did it work though? Yeah. Anyway, so while it's not working, I see there are 5 people. I believe there are 8 people actually scheduled to attend today. Everybody else chose to participate tomorrow. And let me test here the option of showing the slides. Let me see if it will be possible to do so. All right, so, okay. You should be seeing my main slide as well as me in the slide. And let me try to add Lauren as well. Lauren, I just clicked on adding you to the system, and so my understanding is that it should allow you now to be here with me. So new system again, not 100% sure how it works. I see Mitchell, but for some reason, Mitchell, I don't see your video and your audio. So what could be the reason? Yes, you may need to click on that. So
is that working?
Yeah, Mitchell. So
okay. Oh, fantastic.
Wonderful. Okay, the system seems to work. All right, we have more people joining us, and that's a good sign. So we're going to start in a second. It seems like the system works. Well, while we're here, why don't we do some quick introductions? Let me get my slides away and instead go back. So how do I do that? Close. Just 1 second. Stop slideshow. So Mitchell, why don't you introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are?
Sure, not a problem. My name is Mitchell Wing. I'm from Orlando, Florida. I recently graduated from college in May 2017 with an economics degree. I did ex-culture in 2016 while I was studying abroad in Shanghai for my fall semester. So that's where I'm at right now.
That was an excellent introduction. To the point, clear. That's a rare, normally and much all around the topic and not to the point. But yes, very nice to meet you. If anyone else wants to introduce himself, herself, raise your hand. There is a button, raise hand. And so that should allow us to add you here, and it would be a good opportunity to see your face. I think our subscription allows only 3 people talking at the same time. So if more people express interest to introduce themselves, I may have to kick you out, Mitchell, into the passive audience. But for now, while we still have room, let's stay here. Anyway, all right, so it seems like the system is working, so let me go back to my slides and just give you the agenda for today. And then we'll just go point by point. If more people join and express interest to introduce themselves, we can do that too. It's not so many people today. So here are the things that I wanted to talk about. So meet and greet, and we kind of started with that, and we'll continue as more people join. Then I wanted to give you a quick update on where we are with the program. I've been working very hard with a few people over the last literally several, now already months, but the last few weeks have been extremely, extremely busy. So literally working day and night, including last night until 6 a.m. my time. And so we've made a lot of progress, but still a lot has to be done. So there are a few things that we want to finish literally today, tomorrow, and I'll give you an update on what's done, what still needs to be done, where we are. Then I wanted to talk very briefly about the terms of your employment. Several people sent me some questions, and I would like to address them. I already know those questions. And then maybe you have more questions, so this would be a very good time to discuss them. So if you have any ideas, any suggestions, any concerns, any observations or questions, we will do that at that time. Then strategy for the program. So there are a few issues that I will be honest with you, I don't know how to go about. So there are some strategic choices we need to make, and I need help. And so I will ask for your input. You may not necessarily have to talk and provide that input right away, but at least listen and see if you can come up with some ideas. And if you have ideas now, great. If you don't, keep that in your, somewhere in your head. And if you come up with better suggestions tomorrow, later today, day after tomorrow, send me an email or talk to me other way. And then in the end, again, questions and answers in general. So if you have any other things that you wanted to discuss, we'll talk about those. So I'm going to get rid of the slides. Mitchell, do you see the slides? Are they working since you're right here?
Yes.
Okay. It's a new system, as I said. We tried last time. Those of you who was here last time, we tried Webinar Ninja, and it didn't work very well for us. YouTube Live is a wonderful platform, but not strong enough for us. Webinar Jam seems to be great. It's expensive. I paid $500 for the year, but it seems to be a very powerful platform. But I also want to give a try to Zoom. Zoom is a little bit more expensive, but it allows us to pay month by month. So while it will have a 30-day trial period with the Webinar Gem, I'll see how it works, and maybe we'll keep it. And if not, we may switch to Zoom. Lauren, I see you here. If you want to introduce yourself before we get to business, you would need to click on camera and microphone on the top of your screen to activate them. And so otherwise we will not hear, will not see you. And if you want to do that. And if not, I guess that's fine too. So I'm not sure if it's technical difficulties. All right, so let me talk very briefly about where we are with all kinds of developments. So first, you know that the X-Culture University program, let's call it this way, is well underway, so everything works very well. We already have received a lot of applications for the next semester, so it looks like we will have as many students as this and possibly more next semester. So on that front, everything's fine, and the only problem there is that it's busy. So we started getting applications, and I need to respond to the professors. Some of them have questions, others need some special invoices. Many schools, as you know, pay for participation, and some just simply click and pay, but others, depending on the country, may require some special documentation to make those payments possible, so that keeps us a little busy here. But as far as the university part, it works very well. With the children, so we've developed first a general strategy for how we're going to go about it. The plan is to rely on two ways to kind of kickstart the program. So recruit the initial set of participants. One is through you guys, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. And one, we want to try to do also some global online recruitment via Facebook, maybe via YouTube ads, and possibly also through some regular ads. And I'll talk about some challenges related to that in a minute. We also have created almost the printed materials. In fact, if I share my screen, hopefully that will be possible. So Mitchell and Lauren, I'm going to kick you out for a while now, just because, just so I have a little bit more screen time. So, and if you need to talk, we'll connect again later. So, and for some reason I can't even exit for Lauren. So let me see if I can do that. Anyway, so we do have the printed materials or design of printed materials. There will be basically pamphlets that look like, I don't have samples here, but they will look something like this. So it will be like a folded pamphlet, and it describes the program, it answers some of the questions, provides some statistics, and provides links to where people can register. We have several different versions already. So there is one designed for this size of paper. There is one designed for slightly larger size. And then we're also creating a version for A4. So that would be for basically Europe and Asia. And we have letter, which is the United States. And I believe much of Latin America also uses letter standard. So the American paper, as you know, is a little wider and a little shorter. And so the European is a little longer and a little narrower. And so we will have both versions. Now, we already printed some of those copies. We have some people in Ukraine who are very proactive and already started meeting with schools. And so they printed the first, I believe they went with 500 copies. So that one is ready, but we are still trying to make some slight adjustments for the English version. And so the way we will go about that is you will have the high definition files, and you will be able to place order print at a local print shop. And we will obviously pay for that, so we can do it two ways. We can either pay directly to the print shop, so if it's something that you can place an order online, or they can send us some sort of an invoice, we can pay so you don't even have to worry about that. Or we can just add that money to your salary. So when the time comes to pay to you, whatever amount it is, we'll just add it. So that is almost ready. As I said, I just met with the designer this morning about an hour ago, and so making some final changes to the design to make sure that it's consistent with the website and with everything else. Then we are also working on the so-called landing page for the project. And let me see if I can show you what it looks like. Screen share, so hopefully that will work. So if I go here and open the page, let's see if you will be able to see it. The current page looks exactly like all other pages, Sculpture Academy. And it's a relatively boring page. Why is it showing? It's still showing the agenda, isn't it? So it should be showing the computer screen. So I wonder what's going on there. So let me just close this agenda file. Okay. I don't know if you can see the screen on your computer screens, but for some reason on mine it's completely black. So I'll keep it as it is for a second in case it appears in a minute. But if not, that's actually, let me try to do this one more time. Still learning this system. Okay, yeah, now you can see it. So this is the current design, and it's boring, just basically text and nothing else. So it sort of works, it provides all the information, but it's not very exciting. At the same time, we've been working very hard with our designers who are creating something a little bit more exciting. And so it's online, but it's not on the right link while we're still working on it, but it will look something more like this. So it will be a little bit more kind of better mood and a little bit more colorful. We will test different version of this design. So we will have cartoons like what you see now, but we will also have a design where we will have pictures of real people. So kind of more businessy, serious looking. So we'll see which one performs better. But anyway, we have this page as well. And so again, still working on some final touches and wording, and hope it will be all ready within hopefully 24 hours. So this way, whenever you're ready to go out and talk to people about the project, you will have printed materials, you will have the web page. We have the design of the business card, but my designers said that the one we have is not beautiful enough. So they will work again today, tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have those ready. And again, whenever you're ready to print them, just place the print and we will pay for them. So that shouldn't be a problem either. It seems like we got most of the little things figured out as to how we will go about the pricing and about the enrollment and about the process. And I will send you a document that describes it in sufficient detail, so I'm not going to waste time on that now. But after we talk about your questions about the terms of employment, I'll switch back to strategy, and we'll share with you some of the things that we don't know how to go about when it comes to all these, basically the strategic decisions about some of the aspects of the program. And so hopefully you will have some advice. Oh, and one more thing that I forgot about what we have. So here on this landing page, on the top of the page, we will have what they call explanation video. So one of the big challenges we have is how do you explain to people in a few words what XCulture Academy or XCulture Kids is. And so we don't really have much time before people will switch to a different website. So we have only a few seconds to do it. And so we thought people will probably not read a boring long text for a long time. So instead we thought we would also give them a video, a cartoon that will be much more interesting to watch, and hopefully that will keep their attention there for like a minute or so. And so during that time, hopefully it will be possible to explain to them the main idea, and hopefully that will interest them enough so that they will continue watching the video or read the page. So, but again, more on that in a minute. And so with the video where we are finalizing the script, hired a person from Romania. So she signed up as a freelancer through Upwork to do the design. Hired another guy here in the United States who will do the voice. So he's professionally trained in vocal arts. And then, so should be probably sometime next week when we have the video, and we'll probably have two, one for parents and one for teachers. So we'll use one or the other depending on what audience we face. But we'll talk about those things in more detail a little later. Now back to you guys. If you have any questions about the contracts that you saw, either type them in the comments or type them or raise your hand and join me here. And I see Volodymyr is here, so I know his question, at least one about the pay, and I'm going to address that, but let me see if I can add him here so he can either talk about this question or maybe he wants to add something else. I don't know what it looks on your screen, but from my tests, it seems like once I add you, it should give you the chance to join, and you would have to do a few things. You would have to install a little plug-in to be able to join. Should take only a few seconds, and you should get an automatic prompt to add it to your browser. And I think you only need it if you work in Chrome, and I believe you don't need it if you work in Mozilla. But then after that, you will have to test your sound and video and confirm that you hear yourself, and only then it will allow you to join as a speaker. And I think once you've done it once, you don't have to do it the next time, but the first time at least it will take like 20 seconds. So please type your questions or join me. And it seems like I have two people joined, but for some reason, Lauren is here but is not talking. And then Volodymyr, for some reason, is not. Yeah, I gave him let me try again. So Volodymyr, I just added you again. So hopefully you will be able to join us here. Meanwhile, looking at the comments and let's see what you put there. All right, so I already see your question. So let's go one by one. So so there is one question from Volodymyr, and I'm not sure why he's not joining live. How do we differentiate class students from individual students? I will be asking you later how exactly the process should look like from the point people express interest to the point they enroll. So obviously this time the model is very simple. So when they apply, they will be able to choose the type of applicants. So they can say, I'm an individual applicant, a parent applying on behalf of a student, or a student old enough to apply on behalf of himself, or a professional non-student applicant, adult who is applying individually. And so once they choose what type they are, the enrollment questions will be adapted to that specific type. And then once we receive the application, we will review it. We will know that it's a professor applying for a whole class or an individual applying individually. And if accepted, they will receive an invoice, acceptance letter, and an invoice for the corresponding type. We may have to think a little bit more about how the sequence will work exactly. So will it be a whole different page for one versus the other, or is the same page? Will we use different links? Will we use a whole different application form, or will it be one where you choose your role? So that is open to debate, and probably we will test different approaches and see which one works best. But for now, we keep it very simple. All right, so Volodymyr says he cannot join in, and I have no idea why, but I assume it's technical difficulties. So Volodymyr also asks, why would I invite a class of students when it's better for me to invite individuals? Whatever works for you. So we didn't increase the price for the class too much because we don't want the teachers to have to go to the parents and ask for the money to enroll the class. We want it to be affordable for the school to participate, just like what we do with the X-Culture students. And it keeps it a little simpler. We don't have to track the exact number of participants because some students may not pass the test. Some students may decide to drop out in the middle of the project, and so we don't want to deal with those adjustments. So a class is a class, and it seems like $275 is a price that will cover our expenses and should be fair enough and affordable enough. Obviously, when you invite individual applicants, you sort of kind of get more money per person. And if you want to do that, if you can do that, by all means, please do. As I said in the letter and in the previous meetings, ultimately, it's all up to you. So meaning that you can change the prices you want, and we will give you the authority to give different enrollment options. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for example, if you believe that you can get more money, let's say this way, from a class, and you want to do it that way, we will create a separate page with the price specifically for you, for your class. That's fine. So for me, as I said, it just seems like given the cost of managing a class versus an individual, managing a class is much more efficient. So therefore, the price per person is much lower for a class, and managing an individual enrollment is much more difficult. That's why it's much higher per individual. Volodymyr keeps asking questions about the strategic choices. I was going to talk now more about the employment conditions under which you will be working and then get to the strategy, but that's fine. So let's talk a little bit more about strategy. How will we know, or how will you know, or how will everybody know that a specific enrollment is basically brought by you? This is a difficult question, and this is something I'm not 100% sure how we will handle. For now, the working version or the working plan is to keep it as simple as possible. So for example, Volodymyr works in or lives in Belgium. And so if we'll have an applicant from Belgium, we'll pretty much automatically assume that it is his referral. There will be a question in the application, how did you learn about the program? So we will ask, how, and if it says that, if the person says, well, I met with this person, or I attended a seminar or webinar, or I saw this ad, if we know that you did all those things, that's easy. So we know that's the person, that's you. If the person says, I saw an ad on Facebook and only us did Facebook ads in that area, then yes, we know it's not you. If in doubt, we will give that person to you. So if we have a person from your territory and there is no easy way to confirm who is who, we may reach out to that person and just kind of inquire if he had or she had a contact with the regional executive director. But again, if it's impossible to determine, we'll just simply assume that it's one of your enrollments. We did consider the idea of using some sort of special, codes, like when you talk to people, you give them a code and stuff like that. I'm open to that idea, but it seems to me like it's going to be an unnecessary, complicated step. So yes, it would definitely make it easier to track things. But let's say you meet with someone, you talk to them, they like the project, then they come to apply, to enroll, and they forgot the code you gave them, or they forgot your name. So we don't want to make it too complicated for them, and then we don't want to make it so that if they forget you or forget your code, then for us, it would be not, or for you, it would be not possible to prove that that was you. So therefore, for now, I suggest we keep it simple. And if the person comes from your territory, we just assume it's your referral. We will still ask how did they learn about it, and we will have a window where they can provide a name. So hopefully that will be sufficient. But if none of that information is provided and it's impossible to determine, we'll just give you that person. The only area where it will be a problem is Kenya, the United States, and Pakistan. We have multiple regional directors in these areas, and technically they're working in different specific geographies, but it would be very hard to separate them. So in the United States, we can kind of go by the state, but even there it would be difficult to do. And then when you get to Ghana or Pakistan, it would be very hard to do. And so for those, we may have to have a more complicated process. Maybe if the person indicates the country, and if it's one of those complicated countries, maybe we will add a question where we specifically will ask for the name of the regional executive director the person talked to before deciding to enroll in the project. So again, I'm open to your suggestions here. The goal is to keep it simple, but at the same time, obviously, we want to have some good accounting of who referred whom. And it seems like a simple system should work, but if it doesn't work, or if you have a better idea right away, we will make those changes.
Hi.
We have someone here say, is that you?
Yeah, this is me. This is Rasa.
Do you want to include switch on your camera as well?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so
Wonderful. We can see you. Yes, go ahead. Do you want to introduce
Yeah,
yourself very quickly? Just like Mitchell did, 2 seconds. Who you are, where you are, so we know.
yeah, so I'm Raza Syed Mohammad Raza
Mm-hmm.
from Karachi, Pakistan.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So I'm Raza from Karachi, Pakistan. I'm an undergrad student doing my bachelor's in business administration, basically a marketing major. And yeah, I've recently just got on board like the rest of us. So I had a few questions. The number one question being that in the contract, you mentioned that we have to get a certain number of participants on board. For example, for December, we have the number of participants are 5. But you did not mention that whether they are the individual participants or the school participants. So let's say I get 5 participants, but 10 participants are school participants. So will they be counted in the same criteria?
Yes. So I thought about that for a long time, but it seems like it's just better just say 5, and it doesn't matter what time. So again, for the matter of simplicity, and since many of you probably have that same question, I know Volodymyr sent me the question literally at my 5 a.m. and I was still not sleeping, so I saw it. Let me address this issue of the minimum performance requirements. So when trying to decide how to do it, we looked at, and I consulted a number of you guys and a number of other colleagues, professors, trying to decide what's the best way to compensate you. And so when it comes to your aftermarket commission, everybody said, yeah, 20% sounds about right. So nobody seems to have any big problems with that. I mean, some people may say that 10 would be sufficient. Others would say that it would have to be 30. But, no number is perfect. 20 seems about right. So we'll start with 20 and then see what happens. Maybe we'll increase the numbers later. But the base salary, that's where we had multiple options and different people had different suggestions. Some people said there should be no base salary at all, just compensate the business expenses, and then the rest would be commission. Some people said there should be a base salary and it should be guaranteed and automatic. So as long as the person tries, there should be a payment. And then some people said there should be a base salary, but only if there is some sort of a minimum performance, result. And then when it comes to what that minimum should be, again, we had all kinds of numbers. As you remember, we started with 50. Then some people said it should be more. Some people said it should be less. In the end, after thinking about it for a long time, I decided to go with a minimum and just set it very low so that it's definitely doable as long as you try. And at the same time, it is in place as opposed to 0. And there are 3 reasons for that. So I'll just tell you how it is. I'll be very honest with you. The main reason I decided in the end, as I said, it just intuitively. I don't know if it's the best way. And as I said, spoke with some of you, and some people were very strict and said, no, it should be not even a base salary. It should be all commission-based. If people are serious about that, maybe increase the percentage, but don't give anything promised, because there will be some people who will not do anything and just claim the money. And then there were some people like Volodymyr, for example, who said there must be some sort of trust. There must be some sort of basically advanced credit. So where people know that they will get something and I should not doubt that they will try. and they should not be deprived of some compensation if they don't succeed. Eventually, and I see logic in both, so it's definitely both are valid arguments, and if we took one or the other system, I'm sure they would be defensible. The reason I decided to go with a minimum is this. For me, this next, few months, these next few months will be as much a trial as basically, so it will be trying and testing you guys as much as actually trying to do the job. And some of the dilemmas that I have to work with are the following. One, I don't want to have too many regional executive directors, because on the one hand, the more there are of you, the better it is, because the more potential participants you will bring. But at the same time, the more there are of you, the more coordination effort I'll have to put in it. So it will take time. I'll have to deal with more emails, with more questions, with more people, with more payments, with more special stories. Each one of you will have something happening, and I will have to keep that in mind. So I have an incentive, and in fact, it's not that, my personal preference, it's an organizational necessity to keep the system lean, meaning that keep only the best and keep only those, keep fewer better employees. There is no way for me to tell which one of you will be a fewer, better employee. So some of you will be excellent. I know, I suspect at least some of you will not be. For example, when the time came, so about 200 people applied so far for this position. I selected, I believe, 45 total who were invited to do the job sample. So they looked perfectly fine on paper. They said all the right things. They did everything to my satisfaction. When I said, why don't you guys sort of prove to me that you're serious about that you can spend a little bit of time on this and send me that video, only 30 of you, 31, well, there was one person who did it earlier, but there were 30 who actually did it when I asked for this. So meaning that we lost about 50% right there. And so that tells me that those people either were not interested enough, or were not diligent enough, or perhaps didn't know how to do it. So the technical skills were not there. So the next stage will be show me that you can, basically develop the program in your region, so you can recruit participants. No doubt, in fact, I have every confidence that the vast majority of you will work very hard and will do a very good job. But looking back at what happened with the work samples, I mean, it's probably reasonable to assume that the same thing will happen in this next stage. So I assume at least some of you will not do much. And it's not because you are not bad, or, you are bad or lazy or something like that. It just, some people may realize that it's not exactly what they like to do, basically, at least in the initial first weeks, it will be mostly recruitment. Maybe some people will get busy with other things. I know some of you study and you will be busy with classes and you will never, find the time to do it. Maybe there will be some people who will, have some personal issues and will not have the time. And so those are the people that we don't want in our team, because they will take time but will not give us anything in exchange. And so these next several months, it's a trial, it's a test for all of us. On the one hand, I invested a lot of time and money already in it, and I want to see if the program works. But I kind of expect the same from you. So I'm looking more for partners rather than subordinates. And so I'm not even in a position to offer like a regular office job where you show up at 8, go home at 5, and get a guaranteed salary. So here we are looking at basically a startup. So we're looking at partners. And so I will definitely compensate all the expenses you have when it comes to, travel, when it comes to printing, when it comes to, whatever you actually have to pay for. But if you try, and if it happens that in the month of December, for example, over the next 30 days, you can't refer even 5 people, that may mean that either it's not a job for you, or maybe you're just not able to do it. And so in that case, maybe, maybe it's not exactly what you should be doing. Maybe it's not somebody who we should have on the team. In that case, as I said, I will compensate all your direct expenses, but you will still have lost some time. And it seems to me fair. So it seems to me fair that, let's say you will spend some hours on this, and in the end, it will not work for you. Well, it is your loss in a sense, but at the same time, as I said, I do spend time on preparing your contracts and, preparing all the system in place. So we both kind of lose because, ideally everything works fine and I get a wonderful partner and you get a wonderful job. So from this perspective, as I said, I thought some sort of a minimum is a good test, and it is fair, because otherwise it will be, as I said, there will be not enough incentive to do it. There will be, some people probably will drop out and demand or not do anything and demand some payments. And as I said, I want to keep people who are not even capable to do this little thing. So consider that a test, I guess, and hopefully it will work fine, and hopefully it will lead to a wonderful career for you. Between us, and don't quote me on that, I wish I could switch the recording. If I see that some of you, for example, Volodymyr here, does a lot of work and goes to those meetings, and we do have solid evidence that the person did, much, I'm sure we'll find a way to make you happy. So I'm sure we will make, find a way to make sure that you're not feeling like you've done all that work and you don't get anything in exchange. But at the same time, I don't want to make it, automatic that, as long as you sign this contract, you're guaranteed $200 a month. Because as I said, it seems like a very, very minimum is fair and maybe even necessary in this early stage. So I hope that answers it, and I hope we will not have anyone who will be on that, in that category where, we don't know what to do. There are not even 5 enrollments. If in doubt, as I said, I will err in your favor, but I felt it would be necessary to impose some sort of a strict rule, and here we are. All right. Yes, school students count as one enrollment. So if you bring a class, if they have 20 people, again, I'll be open to negotiation, but for now, let's assume that it's one enrollment. And so we'll have to take a closer look at what it is. By the way, Lauren, if I remember correctly, already recruited one school. So somebody sent me an email yesterday saying that they already got a school from Kenya. So it's apparently one of the better schools there. And so somebody already has a number. So we are doing fairly well. So yeah, did that answer your short question, my long speech, or is it good enough? Do you have any clarifying comments? If you're still here, because it seems
yes,
like
it did. It did.
Yeah. All right.
Hello.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. If it did.
Yeah, it did.
Mm-hmm.
It did. It was the number. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then again, Lauren again asks. So if it's one class of 20 people. We'll have to take a look, but basically we count one enrollment, either one school or class or one individual. So I think that should be fair enough, totally doable, hopefully totally doable. And as I said, let's take a look, let's wait for a few weeks and see what happens. If it turns out that it's totally unfair or something else, I'm open to renegotiation. But at this time, as I said, there is no one best way to do it. I hear arguments in all kinds of directions, and each of those has merit, and we just have to choose one. And so this just felt like it's the best way to do, the right way to do it at this stage. My goal for the future is obviously to have a much bigger guaranteed component, and then some incentive, so that you have some stability, you have some predictability in how much you will earn. But again, we need to test it and make sure that it actually works before we can start, kind of throwing money left and right, because we have very limited resources. And again, it is my obligation to use them in the most effective way. And it seems like at this time, it would be not in the interest of this project to offer substantial base salaries to the people who can't even meet a very, very small, performance target. Yes, and Lauren says that she understands that one school will not have the same monetary value of 20 people. Yes, as I said, money is semi-important here. On the one hand, it is important because first I will have to pay you. And even if you stay at that minimum level, I'll still have to shell out a few $1,000s at the end of this month. And then I also have, as I said, designers. I have illustrators who are doing the whiteboard animation video, the guy who does the voice. I have my computer guy who does all the website. We have to pay for the hosting. We have to pay for the advertisement. So we do need money. But at the same time, I'm a little bit more lenient towards the schools because the schools are, they have a teacher. They're more reliable. They hopefully will have this multiplicator effect. So 20 people participate from a class. We don't really make much money on them, but they go tell friends. So hopefully that will kind of pay off in the end. But again, let's try. I mean, I'm open to redistributing or maybe charging more for the schools, maybe a little bit even less for the individuals or more. So as I said, at this time, nobody can tell us this should be the number. And so I had to come up with some numbers, and so therefore we said it was going to be $195 per individual, $275 per class. You can give a stipend of $100 or $150, your choice. If you want to change the price, like let's say you want to make it more for your region, we can adjust that for you specifically. And a minimum target 5 in December, 10 afterwards, or at least we will see what happens in December and then decide maybe we'll keep 5 if it's really hard to meet 10. But for now, we had to set some numbers, and those seemed like reasonable numbers. Mm-hmm. Yes, so when it comes to the stipends, so Sayed asks a very good question. Here is the latest development on that. First of all, an interesting observation. So about 40 minutes away from here is a university called Duke University. You probably know it's one of the elite schools, globally known. And so as many of these private elite schools, they have programs that they call for gifted children, where children can do like summer camps at that university and sometimes other programs during the school year. They charge insane amounts of money for these programs, and many parents apply not so much because of the training, but because they want to know that their children are considered gifted or talented. And so there is like a strict selection process and stuff like that. And in fact, one of my very close friends manages the same program at the University of Wisconsin in Madison, again, another very strong university, and there is one here at Duke. And so the other day, somebody told me that Duke has something similar to what we are trying to do here with XCulture. So they have a program where they call it e-investigators. And so what that program does is there are about 10 challenges. They're simpler than what we do in XCulture. So there would be challenges like, for example, in hospital, different people come with different problems and diseases. How do you redistribute those patients to the doctors so that the system works well? Or there is a challenge like for a police force, or there is a challenge for firefighters, or there is a challenge for like accountants or something like that. They're very simple. The whole program is 4 weeks, but what's similar to us is that the people will be working online. So they put them in teams. Each person is working from home, even though I assume most of them would be from North Carolina, but they would be participating online. And they have 4 weeks to solve that challenge. So the challenge is simple, and it's for smaller kids too. So that's ages 9 to 12 or something like that. So my son is too old for that program, for example, and he's 13. And so, but it's similar in the format. They don't offer any training, so they just kind of let children try themselves in these different professions. What's remarkable about that the participation fee they charge is exactly to $1, same as ours. It's $195 per person. What is also remarkable about that is that they have the same system as us with the discounts. They also have a stipend, and they call it a stipend. They have a separate application that the parents have to fill out, and basically it's a need-based, so you have to show that you are low income, and if you show that you're low income, you get a partial discount. And so the discount is, even that is also like half price, basically $100 discount. And so you basically have to show that you don't have the money to pay. And so the reason I'm kind of happy about that is because I'm sure Duke has been doing it for much longer than we do, and they probably did some studies on this and came up with a model that is exactly the one that we are testing. So that gives me some sort of a sense of validation, and so hopefully that will work. So the way we will do it, it will be the same thing. So there is a global fixed price, but people can apply for a stipend. We will not call it a discount or sale. It is a stipend. They have to apply for the stipend, and to qualify, they first must have a need. So they must either come from a developing countries where this kind of amount is too much. And then we will also allow people from anywhere to apply for that if needed. So for example, if there is someone from a poor family in the United States, and there are some people here in the United States who may not be able to pay that, we will allow them to apply and basically provide the proper documentation that, it's too much for them. And I suppose why not? We would allow them to participate as well. They need that kind of training more than others. They have a kind of difficult start, so we will help them, consider that a charity. But at the same time, it's still good for us as long as they pay at least something. So now you directors will be allowed to give those stipends. So for example, if you are, let's say in Pakistan, and you know that $195 is too much for an individual, you can literally tell them upfront that you are qualified for either $100 or $150 discount. And so at the time of the application, they will still see the full price, but then they will have to apply for the stipend, and they will say, my regional director told me that I qualified on the grounds of, for example, low income in my area. And so that will be administered to them. We have to figure out the logistics of allowing you to offer an even bigger discount or maybe charging more. For that, we may have to literally create a separate page so that only you can link people to that, but hopefully it will not be necessary. But we will give you the authority to determine your price. If you happen to be from a country where maybe $195 is too little and you want to charge more, people will value it more, people can afford more, and you will get more in commission, we can do that as well. So in some exceptional cases, we may even allow you to give a school, not an individual participant, but a school free participation. But we'll have to establish first that it's a serious professor who will ensure performance, who will ensure commitment, and that there is definitely no easy way for them to pay, either because of the banking regulations in their country or the school policies or some other legitimate reason. Saeed asks if we can adjust it more. As I said, I'm not against it, but it has to be simple enough. And so when you say 35, I suppose we can make an exception and make it possible for your participants to pay, but we don't want to play too much with the prices. It appears to me that 45 for 4 months, $10 a month, it should be affordable to anyone who is serious about it. And so I don't think there will be many people who will not be able to afford 45 but can afford 35. And so that little difference probably will not make any difference for people, in terms of how much essentially poorer they become after they pay. I don't think it will, matter that much. And at the same time, it will complicate the things unnecessary. And because of that, it probably will be, better just not to get in too much in those numbers games. We can try, and we will try, but the plan for now is 195 to 75 base. If it's too much, you can apply for a stipend. You submit a separate application for that. We have to show it that it's not for everyone. We have to show it that it's an honor to get it, not it's a privilege, not a right. But as long as, there is a legitimate case, sure, we'll give them the discount. But again, it should be simple. I'm not even sure if we should allow 150 and 100. Maybe we should decide that it should be only, let's say, 100, and that's it. So only one type of stipend, and so we don't even have to deal with the different numbers. Maybe 2, but I wouldn't go any further with that. Lauren asks a wonderful question. Yes, that's a very, very good question about a basic introduction letter. Yes, we want to actually develop a whole training package for you guys. A letter you can send, things you can say, questions you will likely hear, and the best answers we will likely give. So that's something that we will try to develop some basis right away, but something we will have to polish as we try and learn. And so hopefully it will be a collective effort, and I almost hope that you will help with the development of those materials, because first of all, you will be in the field and you will know better what to say. Second, I can't pretend that I know right away what to say. So I'll definitely prepare something that you can just print and send, but it will be an editable format. So if you want to change something, you definitely will be able to do that. So yeah, and so Volodymyr says that maybe letters will not work in some regions. That's the thing. So I have no idea. One of the tools, for example, that came up was recommended by someone from the United States, one of our professors actually. So in the United States, there is a this institutions or tradition of homeschooling. So children can go to school, and most of them do. But there are some families that choose to teach their children at home. And so this is a legitimate option. And so there are online kind of materials portals where children would need to go and then take some tests from time to time and, report their progress. But as long as they do this from home, they can still get a certification, basically, can get the diploma at the end of the school. And so there are two types of families that do it. One, traditionalists, who kind of don't like the government and believe that children should be educated at home because the government is evil and public schools are bad. Or parents of very talented kids, so where they can go through multiple grades in 1 year. And I've met quite a few of those, where children literally finish a 12-year school in like 5 years or 6 years. And then sometimes special needs. Maybe the kid is, has difficult time, going to school and stuff like that. So for that reason, parents choose to do it from home. But every state has like a website for those parents, and many of them have groups of parents. And so those contacts are available online, and there is even a way to send a message to those families with, for example, information about our program. And because the children are studying from home, obviously they're looking for ways to, engage those children with other peers. And so XCulture here could be very useful because they don't have that much contact with other children, in the classroom. And so XCulture from this perspective would be a wonderful opportunity. So to people like that, obviously we have to send a letter. So it's all virtual, so you can't really meet with them. But there are ways to send them a message. And so it could be a simple email or maybe a more formal letter. And so you can send it to all the parents or maybe to the administrators of that program and then see what they say. Likewise, in many countries, there would be like Facebook groups, for example, where parents who would like to give their children more may have a closed group, and they would be, discussing ideas, how to teach children, maybe extracurricular activities, all kinds of, clubs and stuff. Again, you might want to approach administrators of those groups, again, with a letter where you say, we have this program, this might be of interest to your members, parents, and that's where you would explain how it works. So all of those are obviously, viable options. Somebody just raised the hand, and I did give access to the webinar to that person. But so in order for you to join us, you would have to first install a little plugin to be able to join us, and then give permission to access your microphone and video and test it. So you'll have to 3 times say something, click OK, and then it would work. So if you want to talk, that's what you'll have to do. So let me see what other questions we have. Mitchell is asking a very good question. Would a class act as individual? No, we will treat each student as an individual. Each student will be on a different team. So for the purposes of, once they're in the program, it doesn't really matter to us if they enrolled individually or as a class. We will treat them the same way. They will receive the same training. The only difference will be that if it's an individual enrollment, each parent will get a separate weekly performance review on each student. If it's a class, only the teacher will get one performance review. So it will be slightly different in that way. But each student will be on a separate team. There may be some exceptions, though. In the university version of the project, we do have sometimes professors who want their students to work in either pairs or in co-located teams. So sometimes they say, we like the idea of students solving problems for real companies, but we don't care that much about the international collaboration. So we would like our students to participate in co-located teams, where each student on the team is from my class. And let's say they have 20, 25 students, so there would be 3-4 teams, and they just would work as teams where everybody's from the same location. I imagine that it may be possible that some teachers will say, that's what I want for my students. So I want that business experience, but not the collaboration experience. If that's the case, that's fine. Or sometimes teachers say, not all of my students are comfortable enough to participate in a global virtual team, or not all of the students are fluent enough in English. So can they participate in teams, be placed on teams in pairs? So maybe a stronger student and a weaker student. So this way, if there are, let's say, 7 people in the team, 2 of them may be from one class, from one city, from one location, and then everybody else is from somewhere else. So this way, they have a buddy on the team that they can kind of work together. Maybe if one is more fluent in English, that person will do most of the communication. If somebody is not fluent in English, maybe that person will do more thinking and research. And so that is a viable option, and we can offer that. So in that case, it may be a little bit different. Several people asked to join and talk. I gave the permission, but they're not here. Can you write a comment if that's because there are technical problems? Because while I'm talking to you, I'm also trying to test this program. So if it's not working, if it's not allowing me to add you as a speaker, then obviously it's not a good system, and we may have to change, for something else next time. If it's simply a technical problem, or you changed your mind and you don't want to be here in person, with the video and audio, let me know, so this way I will know. And yes, Mitchell, you're absolutely right. It defeats the purpose if all the people come from the same country. And so the idea here is that, yes, each student will be on a different team. So Lauren did ask about xculture.org emails today. So we should have done it. Well, we just yesterday finalized the list of you. So, but yes, I will send the information to our IT right away. And so they will create your emails and send you the emails and access codes, so you can start using your name at xculture.org right away. By default, we create the email as your first name dot last name at xculture.org. So for example, for Lauren, it would be Tizedes. Is that how we pronounce your last name? So it would be lauren.tizedes at xculture.org. Or Dennis Frimpon, so it would be the same thing, dennis.frimpon at xculture.org. So we will have them ready for you today, so it shouldn't be a problem. And you can add them to Outlook, so we use a system that seems to be universal enough, so seems to work on the phone, work in your Outlook, or you can just go to the browser. Yes, Dennis asks about payments. Yes, you don't have to deal with the payments. Obviously, it would be a difficult task. I know how much time and effort it takes. So yes, they will pay online. We use a two-stage selection process. So people first apply, then we look at the applications, and in fact, I may even come to you for your advice. And then, as long as the person is approved, we will allow that person to participate, and at that time, the person will receive a acceptance letter, and that acceptance letter will contain an invoice with a link to payment, and the person can click on the link and pay online using a credit card or PayPal or any other system, or write a check or wire the money. So it shouldn't be a problem. It's the same system that we use in xCulture, so it shouldn't be a problem. Sayed says that he cannot see the session due to the poor connection. The recording obviously will be available after the session, so you can stream it or download it and watch it later. Fabian says that it's best to have 2 levels of stipend. Well, that's the plan for now. Let's see how it works. Sayed again asks about payments. As I said, you apply, we review. If you are not good enough, we don't let you participate. If you are good enough, we'll let you to participate. And at that time, you have to pay. And so that will be done in advance. So people will have to make the payments before the project starts. And so unless it's a wire, sometimes it takes like a week to process. But again, as long as the person gives us the documentation that shows that the payment has been made, even if the money actually arrives later, that's fine. We can wait, no big deal. But we will use the same process that we use with xCulture. Volodymyr asks about the plugin. No idea. When I tested it on my computer, it just pops up and says you need to install a Chrome plugin, and you just click install. It takes like 2 seconds, and it's done. So I'm not sure. It seems like it's not working because Kosa, Dennis, Sayed, Volodymyr asked to join, and evidently it's not working for them. So again, I hope you see the comments and you see me. Tell me if it's a technical issue. If it is a technical issue, maybe we have to try yet another program. Maybe this one is not as fluent and not as reliable as we thought it would be. Fabian, you ask a very good question. How do we deal with the people who don't have access to the computer? This answer will have 2 components. One, well, it's a necessity. So if you want to participate in a project like this, you must be able to go online. I wish we were able to allow everyone participate, but I mean, you have to have the internet connection. I mean, there is no other way to do it. It's a virtual project, and like physically, there is nothing we can do if the person doesn't have access to the internet. The second component of this answer is actually very optimistic. So one of our students, and she's actually one of you, Jasmine Campus, as I told you in the video or in an email that I sent earlier, she was doing a presentation to a class of executive MBA students. Those are the MBA students who work as managers, who have managerial experience and then want to gain some more education. So, but all of them are basically managers of companies, a little older people. In fact, some of them are quite old. And so she was talking about X-Culture, and then among other things, she mentioned this X-Culture Kids version and, program. And so one of the women in the audience jumps up and says, I want to talk to you about that. And so when they talked about it, she says, I'm from Dell Computers, so the company that makes computers. And so they have this public relations, social responsibility type of division, whose job is to promote literacy among kids that need help. And so they do things like they build computer labs, they give out computers, and then help in other ways. And so they expressed interest in helping X-Culture kids precisely with this. And so the initial plan is that they may help us, like if there is a school somewhere in Africa that wants to participate in X-Culture and don't have access to the internet, computers or tablets or something, Dell, if everything goes fine, and nothing's guaranteed, and I've seen enough of these, things where, it seems exciting initially and then somehow it never works. I mean, obviously it's not guaranteed that it will work this time, but it seems like there is a real chance that it may work. And if it works, we may even be able to offer those kids who want to participate and don't have the technology, we may even be able to offer that technology so that they can participate. So again, at this time, it's too early to tell, but it looks like we may have a real chance. Volodymyr, about the plugin, I don't know. I mean, as I said, I tested it on 3 computers yesterday, literally had side by side. The way it worked for me is once I give you access, you raise hand, I give you access, and it basically something pops up, you click test, and you join. Worked seamlessly for me. Not sure why it's not working for you. So, and Sayed says that click on request to speak button, and it will direct you to the plugin download. So it should be somewhere there. Maybe I should test it on one other computer and then see, like create a manual here. So let's try one more time. So I'm giving you access now, Volodymyr. So, and hopefully that will allow you to participate. And then Akosa also asked for a request. I gave you, so hopefully it will work. We had a few people who were able to join, so it seems like the system should be working, but let's see. So if you're not joining, I assume that something is not working as smoothly as it should. Oh yes, Syed says a very important thing. You may have an ad blocker on your computer, and that ad blocker may be blocking the pop-up. So let me see if I can share my screen and show how it works on my screen. So on my computer, I have this, if you see my screen, I have this little thing, ad blocker here. And so what I can do, I can enable or disable it for this site. And this could be the reason why it may not be working on your computer. So try that. Maybe that's the reason. So let me get back to the video. So, but yeah, I'm a little disappointed. It seems to be not as intuitive as it should have been. Yeah. And yeah, you need to turn off everything perhaps so to make it work. Let's try one more time. Mm-hmm. All right, so let me see if there are any unanswered questions, but yes, Henrik, so we have basically 2 months to do some recruitment. We can accept people after the official start. So the first month will be the theoretical training. And that is something that the previous participants never had. So as you know, the students from universities don't have that. And then non-student adults don't have that. We want to offer this to the students' children, but I assume it's not absolutely necessary and possibly can be done in less than 4 weeks. So if there will be someone who is interested to participate, if there would be someone who is interested to participate after the deadline, but before we actually form the teams, I suppose that should be perfectly fine as long as they're willing to cover the training, the theoretical training, faster than faster than 4 weeks. So that should be possible. But yes, ideally, we would like to have all the enrollments finalized by the time the theory training starts. So basically in the next 2 months. Volodymyr says that he had more questions but needs to run now. So privately, yeah, send me emails. I'll try to respond to that. The only thing is, guys, be understanding if I will not be able to respond right away to your request and talk to you right away. Volodymyr is actually guilty of, bugging me all the time with questions, which is wonderful. I very much like his proactivity and his enthusiasm. But, busy times here for me. So not always can I drop everything and start talking with someone for a long time. So I will try to, and will do my very best to respond right away to everyone. But if sometimes I'm busy or have a lecture or have some other assignments to work on and cannot respond right away, please be understanding. There are other things that I have to take care of. So if you send me an email, that probably will be best, because this way it will not be lost, and I will reply sooner or later, but I will reply and send you the detailed information. Fabian asks a very, very interesting question. Genius. Can we approach companies to sponsor schools? The answer is yes. In fact, we even would like to place an ad on our page and invite companies to sponsor schools. So first we will talk to the companies that participate in XCulture as clients, and we will invite them to sponsor schools that want to participate in XCulture. So literally they will be able to pay for some of that. Second, we even thought maybe some schools can sponsor other schools, like if it's an American school and it's $275 for them, $550 for 2 schools. Maybe they will even, pay for themselves and another school somewhere, let's say in Ghana or Ukraine or, I don't know, Kenya or Malaysia, where it's a lot of money. And so basically as an act of goodwill. And so we will definitely have to prepare some materials that we can give to the companies when asking for that sort of sponsorship. So if you have a school and the school is not able to pay, either you or that school or you together may go to like the mayor of the city perhaps, or maybe a local company, and say there is this wonderful opportunity for the local kids here to get involved in a global community. So there is a cost, because, it takes money to run something like this, it takes effort, resources, but, maybe you can sponsor them. And I can envision that it would be of much interest to many companies to do it. It's a very small amount for many companies. In fact, I don't know, in different countries, but here in the United States, like that's not even a lunch for executive directors. So for them, that's nothing. And so many of them may be very happy to support, somewhere, a school from a developing country so that they can have this experience. Now, I have a few more questions for you guys, and you don't have to give me to give me some information or give you some questions that you can think about and give me maybe your ideas later. Yes, Henrik, yes, business partners, those that are in the program, but maybe even some random companies, from the location. Just like when students come to our symposia, in many cases, they are sponsored by local companies. So we give them letters that they can take to potential sponsors, and they would literally, say, this is what I'm planning to do, and, would you sponsor me? And in many cases, it works well. And yeah. Saeed, I see you joined again. So if you want to talk again, unmute your microphone and unmute your video if you want to talk. But meanwhile, 2 questions that I have for you. One is this wonderful idea of giving people discounts if they bring a friend. And there are 3 reasons why we would like people to bring friends. So for example, let's say you enroll your child, your son or your daughter, but then we want you to go and talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends, talk to other parents at your kids' school, and see if they would like to join and also enroll in this program. And so the reason we would like those friends' children to enroll in the program is because, first of all, your child will then have another friend in the project. And even if that another friend will be on a different team, it's still going to be much more fun. They will have, people to talk to. They will have people to discuss both the business questions they're working on, but maybe also some experiences, maybe some challenges. So from this perspective, it will be much more fun for them to work, in this kind of collective group. Second, most teams will probably have a good experience, but some teams may have a bad experience. And when a person is on a team that for some reason is not very effective, the person may think that the program is bad. But if there is another friend or maybe several friends from that location who also participate in the project, they are on different teams, but they meet and they discuss. And so even if my experience is bad, at least I know that other people have a better time. So I know that maybe I should work harder or maybe I should do things differently. So it's not something wrong with the program in general, but it just happens to be a challenge in my own team. And then third, enrollments. If people bring friends, we have more participants, so everybody wins because the more we have, the more benefits that offers to everybody else. We would like to offer people incentives to bring friends. And the idea, the simplest idea would be, let's say it's $195 for one person, but if you bring a friend, let's say it becomes $175 for each of you. And maybe even if you bring 3 friends or 4 friends, maybe it's going to be even less and less for each person. So that makes total economic sense plus program design sense. The only problem there is that what the process will be. First, we don't want to hand it up too much on money. We don't want people to feel like they have to bring friends to get it. It's we don't want money to be a central component of this game. And so if we tell them if you bring friends you'll get discounts, potentially that can be not necessarily the best kind of message or aura. At the same time, if we don't give incentives for people to bring friends, probably they won't. So if I enrolled and I already paid $195 or still haven't paid but I'm accepted, and I know if I bring a friend I'll pay less and my friend will pay less, it seems like everybody will be interested in doing that. And if we don't offer that, it will not happen. But I don't know what's the most kind of smooth way to offer people incentives for bringing friends without kind of making it too much numbers games. And so I don't know, maybe you have an idea for how we want to make it happen. Because as I said, it will be more fun for the people to participate. It will be more, reliable. They will share ideas and stuff. So it will lead to better results. People will have, we will have more people in the project. And also another very important thing, it will start forming the community, because ideally we want to create those local communities where parents meet parents, become friends, maybe have lunch together, maybe meet once a week and discuss how their children are doing. And so if it's a friend and a friend, so obviously they already have some connection and they will have even more in common. And so that will lead to, forming that community. So it seems like it's a very good idea. We just need to find a way to make it, smooth and easy. Now I see we have here Sayed. So Sayed, do you want to say something, ask something? Can you hear me? Go ahead, please. I think your microphone is muted because I don't hear you. So if you click on the unmute microphone, so that should work.
I'm Shahid. Sorry, I was late. I was trying to connect again and again. There is some internet problem.
Okay.
My name is Shahid Rizvi. I am from Bahawalpur and representing Pakistan.
Okay. Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Yes, we seem to have lost you, but please go ahead.
I just joined you. I want to listen to you.
Sorry, I got a couple of words and then you disappeared. All right, let me get to my second question for you, strategic question that I have, and then if Saeed's microphone or connection improves, hopefully he will join. The second problem is, so we want to have some online advertisement, and so we'll definitely be doing some global advertisement, so through Facebook and stuff, at least in the English-speaking countries. But I'm also fond of the idea of letting you advertise through your own, Facebook account, or send us the, conditions that you want to, or people that you want to target, and we'll do it from our account, but following your directions. The big challenge with that is that XCulture is a very unique project. It's a very unique product, very unique proposition. If we were a private school, for example, for the ad, we would just say private school, put our logo, and put a picture of a smiling child. And everybody knows what it is. So 2 seconds, they know what it is, and then they click on the link and learn more, how much it costs, what the dates are, and stuff like that. Or if we were like a summer camp, for example, same thing. We just write summer camp, put a happy child. Parents are looking for summer camps. In fact, many of them are looking for private school summer camps, so they would be actively searching for those ads, and our page or ad pops up, and so they look, they know right away what we're talking about, and then they look, read more and decide if they want to participate. Xculture is different. So we take children, put them in international teams. They solve problems for real companies, working online, speaking in English, no travel required. So you need at least like 15, 20 words to explain what we are trying to do. And so first of all, in Facebook ads, you cannot devote more than 20% of the picture to text. So there is really no room to say that many words. You literally have like 5 words at most. And second, even when people click on it and start reading, again, you have only a few seconds before they give up and stop reading. And so with Xculture, you need more time to explain to them what we're doing. It's not a standard product. It's not a car. It's not coffee. It's not clothing. It's not something where you just show a picture and people know instantly what that is. And so one of the big challenges, and I hope you will be able to help us here, is how do we design those ads where people look at them just for 1 second on Facebook and they right away understand what we are offering and they get interested, and then they click on our page and read more. Turns out it's a very difficult task. I'm kind of hoping that we will use that explainer video animation, and people tend to watch, tend to be able to watch cartoons longer than read. And so hopefully they will like the cartoons and they will read it and or watch it and then understand what we're talking about and then get interested and read more information on the page. But that's another challenge. Like somehow we never have that problem with universities, because for universities, professors, first of all, have the kind of mental capacity to read a message longer. But second, also it's easier to them. We just say it's going to be an experiential exercise in addition to your course. And they sort of know what we talk about. For parents, for school teachers, it may be a big challenge to explain what we do in those 2 seconds. And so I'm hoping that you will be able to come up with some suggestions in that area. All right, so I think we're gonna stop here. So it's been over an hour, and I was trying to keep it at an hour. I'll have another meeting tomorrow, and then I'll try to have these meetings twice a week. And so if you have questions, if you want to talk to me, you will be able to join, and hopefully it will work fine. And so if you didn't ask something today, you will be able to ask it tomorrow or send me an email. And those of you who are trying to join live and talk and couldn't, could you send me exactly what the problem seems to have been, so that I can, as I said, I'm trying to determine if this system is good for our webinar, for our meetings. Maybe we should go with something different. And so it seems like it wasn't as smooth and reliable for some of you as I was hoping it would be. And so from this perspective, I would like to get a little bit more information before I decide if we keep this program system or if we're going to get something different. All right, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you, everyone, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Oh, yes, Mitchell is asking if we can create yes, that's another question. Very good. So we need to create a page or a platform where we can discuss issues, so where we all can discuss. And so I suggest that we create a Facebook group specifically for the regional executive directors for REDS. Most of you probably know how to use Facebook, and so my hope is that it will be the most efficient way to go. But let me know if that's not a very good platform for you personally, and if not, maybe we'll think about buying an account with Slack or Trello or Basecamp or something like that. So, but yes, for now the plan is to create a Facebook group, and probably I'll do it like literally now. Yeah, Sayed says it's good. I know it doesn't work in China, like Facebook is blocked in some countries, but it seems like we shouldn't have problems, at least with the countries that we target for now. So, and we can start with Facebook. If it doesn't, meet our needs, maybe we'll get something more sophisticated later. All right, I'm going to stop here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So we had, it looks like all 8 people who signed up participated. So thank you so much. And yeah, I'll talk to you soon.